areas as well. But it's designed to actually, be that device that when you're on the go, you can take advantage, as long as you have what I consider internet connectivity. Now, as we think about some of the professional grade offerings, I'm going to caution you. Okay, this is a great opportunity for you to understand and then also work with Tim and the crew that there are a couple different versions of Windows 8. There is Windows 8 and there's Windows 8 Pro. Windows 8 Pro is designed for the business. So, although there's going to be some great new hardware and computers out in the retail stores, most of those are going to be loaded with Windows 8, which may or may not give you the functionality that you need for your business. It depends on things like, do you have a server? How are you making those connections? And so you want to make sure you have that conversation, with Tim and, his associates and understand the proper version for your environment. So when we talk about it from a business perspective, we want to say you lead with Windows 8 Pro. That is the business offering. That has specific features that are in Windows 8 Pro that are not in the consumer. One of those is the BitLocker with security. One of those we like to call domain join, which is one of our technical ways of, do you have a server? We need to connect to it. So just understanding that there are professional grade offerings, and while we've greatly simplified, because John can attest that with Vista and Windows 7, we had several different flavors and versions. But now just think about it as Windows 8 is consumer and Windows 8 Pro is business. Now there are some other additions that you can add on. So this is kind of what I consider some of the a la carte offerings. Windows Intune is our desktop PC management. It is also another way to license your Windows operating system for your desktop. And then when we think about volume licensing and software assurance are added benefits into your total purchase price. And when we think about volume licensing, it is one of the leading ways from a cost effectiveness, or what we typically like to call total cost of ownership, to take advantage of. And so, really one of the things that we look at is, does the company have 5 or more? If it does, we need to have a conversation about volume licensing. If the business is less than 5, then we're probably going to go through some of the other traditional methods of licensing.
And you say that because it's cheaper, right? They'll actually get a better deal if they buy 5 at a time than buying 1 at a time?
Right. It's more than cost, right, because there's additional benefits. One of the things that I'm going to talk about with the Windows to Go, you have to have the software assurance. That is the license to do the demo that I'm going to show you in just a few moments with the Windows to Go. So it's more than just the cost conversation. It's some additional benefits, and the reason we call it software assurance is that it's not quite what I would consider when you go and buy an electronic device and they say, do you want the warranty? It's not quite like that, because we actually give you benefits. Because I've bought those warranties and nothing ever happened. Yeah. Right? So it's like, wow. Okay, with the software assurance, there's a lot of benefits you can take advantage of. Take, for example, if you're talking about Office, one of the big ones is home use rights, the ability to install it at home and run it for your employees at home. So there's some different benefits based on what you're purchasing. Your conversation is make sure you're making an informed purchasing decision, that you're just not walking into some of the retail stores and walking out with a great device, but it doesn't necessarily meet your needs from a business perspective. That's why you have a relationship over here with Tim, right? So one of the things we want to touch on before we get into the demo is this new thing called Windows RT, which you may have heard as Surface. And I'll show the video in just a moment, but I wanted to talk about the Windows RT. This is a special version of Windows. And so I'm going to try and simplify the conversation. Who knows what an iPad is? Pretty much everybody, right? All right, so in computers, we have this thing called the processor. The processor is the brain, right? So in the most simplistic terms, what I want to tell you is that the process, it speaks Italian. We go over here to the Microsoft world, the Intel, the AMD world that we have been living in with these computers and computers that are here. That's Spanish. If you take something that does Spanish and put it on something that does Italian, is it going to work? The brains are different. We call this an ARM. We call this an x86. The reason I point that out is because this, as we think about our Windows RT device, and we're going to see the Surface in just a moment, this device, it's going to look like a computer, and it's going to have more functionality than the iPad, but it's not a laptop replacement. You are going to buy apps through the App Store, but you're not going to be able to install your line of business applications. I think it was it QuickBooks you guys were talking about?
Yep.
Okay. If you get the Surface RT, until Intuit releases an app for the Windows RT, just like they release one for the iPad, you're not going to be able to take the installation media, whether it's USB or CD, DVD, and install it on the Windows RT device. It's a very specific device. I like to think of it as a companion device to your computer. It definitely competes with the iPad. One of the big differentiators between the iPad and the Windows RT or Surface device is that our device comes with Microsoft Office. So you'll have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So let me, just real quick, we'll jump back over and I'll play the Surface video that's out on the commercial. So as we think about the Surface, obviously there's a strong emphasis there for the kickstand and the keyboard, things that you don't have built into the Windows iPad. So what I want to do now is, even though I have a lot of cables to pull off the demo, is just kind of show some of the things from Windows 8. Again, this is a Samsung 7 slate running Windows 8. So you can see how fluid I am with this is the live tiles when you first come into it. But one of the things that a lot of people ask is, well, where's my desktop? That's what I want to get to. So if I just click on desktop, we can see now I have that traditional computing experience that I've had in the past. And I have obviously some PowerPoints over here on the side. I've pinned some of the applications. Here's the new Word 2013. And then I can just quickly exit out. Here I'm looking at my Explorer. And if I want to go back, well, I can just hit the Windows key. And on all the devices, even though this doesn't have a keyboard, they will have a Windows key because that's how you can toggle back and forth. Now, as I go over here into the apps portion, one of my favorite apps is the weather app. And I live in Brighton, Colorado, and I'm currently paying attention to that snowstorm Thursday night because I do leave here and go to Salt Lake tonight, but then I'm leaving Salt Lake Thursday night and going back home. and I'm tracking that storm right there to see if that's going to impact my travel plans. But as I just kind of scroll over, I can see the forecast. I can actually go in and look at some of the different radars, and then even into historical. And this is just all part of an app. And then we can see that this app is free because we have a nice little advertisement over there on the end. And if I just again hit the Windows key, I'm back into my live tiles. Now again, we can come over here. We can see Fox Sports. Giants and Tigers are kicking off tonight in San Francisco. I get some information of what's going on from my live tiles around the markets and what's happening. And then as I go over here, you can see I have a couple of other apps that I've already downloaded. The Kindle, Skyscanner. This is another one of my favorite apps that I can get into. And notice that as I, again, take advantage of touch, I can scroll around and see what's called Skyscanner. And then also, as we look below the horizon, on some of the constellations, I can zoom in just by pinching, zoom out, again, rotate, and then again, hit my Windows key, and I'm out of the app. As I go over here, you can see that I can launch into some of my traditional applications. So let's say I want to go into Excel. I'll just click on Excel, and again, I'm back into the desktop view, and then here I'm getting ready to open up the Excel preview. Now, one of the things that you'll notice with both Excel and Word 2013, that this is the opening screen. And this is the opening screen because 85% of the users, we found the first thing they did was file open. So we're trying to help you with that step as soon as you go into the application. You no longer need to do file open. And then you can notice here I can go over here and say open other workbooks, and then I would have my traditional experience as if I did do file open.
So if you're out on the road, you've got one of those, and you're trying to access a office document back at the ranch.
Yep.
It's seamless?
It is. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. So if we go back, right, it would depend on the deployment, right, and the server. But if we go back in here, right, we say open other workbooks. You see this? Recent workbooks. If it's something that you have open recent, regardless of if it's shared on the SkyDrive or if you have connectivity back to the network, it will automatically pull it that way. Or you can come over here and say someone's SkyDrive, if you're using your SkyDrive or somebody else's, and you can link in and get it from that area. So it is seamless. It does require how are you saving those documents and how is it deployed, how is it exposed? Is it in SkyDrive, the Microsoft Cloud? Is it in another cloud offering? Is it at the corporate office and you have connectivity? There's a really cool way with what's called direct access, which gives you access to the corporate resources no matter where you are across the internet securely without a VPN link and VPN software. Again, that's an implementation. It's taking advantage of the server technologies and the desktop technologies. And again, that's called direct access. So very easy to manipulate. And then here, you're seeing that I opened up some of those applications. Well, now I'm just seamlessly scrolling as I go from the left to some of those different applications. Now, some people say, well, how do I work with the computer? This is called the charms, and I just dragged in from the right-hand side. And one of the big things that people want to know about is, hey, how do I search? How do I find my information? Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can start typing as you're at